Hi there, Bonnie Doyle here. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to start your own chair yoga home practice. So what is chair yoga? Chair yoga is a modification of traditional yoga. Traditional yoga is over 5,000 years old. It originated in India, and yoga is actually a Sanskrit word, which means to come together, join together, or unify the mind, body, and spirit. And it's this practice of really becoming aware of the mind, body, and spirit in the present moment. Okay. So where do we do chair yoga? You can do chair yoga just about anywhere in your house where you have a little bit of space to place a chair. Roll out a mat. You don't necessarily need a mat, but if you have a mat, that's great. Have four legs of the chair on the mat. And depending on the extent of your chair yoga practice, if you plan on just staying seated in the chair, you don't need very much room. If you are going to be seated in the chair, it's nice to have enough room to move your arms out to the side, move your arms up overhead. Okay. If you're planning on doing any standing or balancing poses with your chair yoga home practice, it's nice to have a little bit of space to be able to come behind the chair. Perhaps move the chair a little bit forward so that you can actually do some stepping back type movements. And if you're going to do any stepping to the side movements, you might want to have a little bit of space and move clutter off to the sides to really avoid having any type of tripping hazards. Okay, so that's the where. So next is the when. So the when is, again, that's up to you. Do you think you'd like to do your practice in the morning or in the evening? Nice thing about chair yoga is you can sneak in a little bit of practice even at work because you could use your chair at work as long as it doesn't have wheels on it. We'll get to that a little bit later. Some people really enjoy the idea of a class and having a set time and a set schedule. So right now in the world we're living in today, there's a lot of virtual classes happening right now. So you can connect to the class via Zoom, or there's several YouTube yoga teachers right now that have some lovely, lovely videos out there. You could check out some of the websites to see if there's any DVDs, if you prefer following through with a DVD. So basically doing some research and connecting with a teacher or a virtual platform that really works for you. If you're not new to chair yoga and you've done it before, you could potentially just take some pen and paper and write out a little flow for yourself of some of your favorite moves that you did in a yoga class, and then maybe 3, 5 different moves, sequence it out, and that can be your chair yoga home practice. Okay. So the next we move into is the how. How are we going to do this? And how are we going to do this safely? So let's talk about the safety part first. So let's talk about chair. So depending on your balance and your physical health and function will determine what type of chair that you use. I'm using a folding chair right now when I do my chair yoga home practices, and I feel like this chair is fairly safe for me and for my balance right now. For others whose balance may be a little bit not as strong, or you're a little bit higher risk for falling, or you have fallen, a chair like this might not be sturdy enough, because if you were going to do a side movement, stepping side to side, and you were to lose your balance, this chair might be a little bit too tippy for you. So I would suggest using a sturdier chair like a kitchen chair, or some type of chair that has some weight to it, so it can give you a little bit more stability. But I feel certainly comfortable and confident with this type of chair. So I would also suggest not doing chair yoga in a chair with wheels. Okay, anything with wheels is too unsafe, especially when you're doing different movements in the chair. So not a typical desk chair that you would have at work, but some work locations have chairs with four legs. So if you wanted to do it at work, you could switch out to a chair with four legs. Um, the next thing I'd like to talk about is footwear. So in terms of chair yoga, I suggest either bare feet or having a shoe on like a sneaker or a type of a comfortable walking shoe. I don't suggest doing chair yoga in your bare feet. Again, because of the risk of slips and falls, especially if you're on hardwood floor, you could easily slip with your socks on. So either in your bare feet or with a comfy shoe on. Oh, the next thing I want to talk about is injuries. So the other thing to be aware of is you could hurt yourself. You could overextend. You could flare a chronic condition. There is risks with any type of movement practice, including chair yoga. So we talk about this thing called your edge in yoga. And your edge is that place where you're feeling a sensation and sometimes a strong sensation in a particular movement, but not pain. Okay. And only you're going to know your personal edge. Only you're going to know how far you can really push yourself. It tends to be trial and error. And it's important to be very patient with yourself, to move slowly, and to be very kind with yourself. That's one of the lovely things about chair yoga is that's one major tenets is to move slowly, be patient, and to be kind. Okay. The other thing is we really like to talk a little bit about osteoporosis. So if you have osteoporosis and you would like to try a chair yoga practice, I would definitely suggest researching it and checking out some videos or reading some books. The biggest thing is that you would want to avoid any forward type bending positions, movements of the shoulders and the upper spine, because those type of movements can really increase your the compression on your spine, and it can increase your risk of spinal fractures. The other thing with the osteoporosis is you would want to avoid any extremes of twisting or any extremes of back bending. So again, just great caution with if you have osteoporosis. And again, if you are at higher risk for falling, footwear is really important, as we talked about. Selecting a sturdy chair for your abilities is really important. And just back to the chair, some people have difficulty standing up from a chair without arms, so you can absolutely do a chair yoga home practice with a chair with arms if you need that little bit of extra support or help. So just checking my notes here to make sure I've covered everything I want to talk about. So I guess the last thing I'd like you guys to think about is the why. Why would you want to do this type of practice? And that's something that you can really consider why you would want to really connect with your mind, body, and spirit in the present moment, or um, practicing this becoming aware of your mind, body, and spirit in the present moment. And my big why for that is I really believe that yoga and chair yoga, any type of these ancient spiritual practices, can really help build our resilience, and they can really help us with managing stress and connecting with ourselves in a very deep and profound way to improve our ability to cope. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll add some more information in the description below. Namaste.